Hello, Mr. Thomas. Day 2, Tuesday is today's Wednesday, excuse me. It's in the books at the Royal Ascot. Gotta say, so far so good, my friend. We if you're not telling your friends to watch the show, they're not going to be your friends very much longer when they find out what we did today and you didn't clue them in onto the secret that is the American side of handicapping the Royal Ascot.
Yeah, we are conquering those 30 horse fields.
Yeah. Better than we do the 6 horse fields over here. There's
something wrong. But ironically, the shortest field today was one of the better payoffs in the 6 horse race and who won that one?
I don't remember.
Mustafik.
Oh, yes, we had that one. Both as our top pick.
Both had that as our top pick. And, they finally cued in on that race. And I'm going, yeah, but this is a horse that came close to running with Equinox. And then when that one blew him away and blew everybody else away. Okay, well, Equinox is considered the best horse in the world right now on the turf. So if you're running with that company, and remember, he also set the track record at Dubai when he won that race. So this is a pretty good horse.
Well, let's run through the races. We had the horses that finished in second and third. If you put together maybe an omni swinger between you and me with Relief Rally and Beautiful Diamond, but I don't count them if they're not winners, Thomas. We whiffed in race number 2 with Villanova Queen. At that point in time, both of our shoulders were slumped, thinking it's going to be a terrible Wednesday. And then in race number 3, Rogue Millennium, Random Harvest. Man, I had Random Harvest as my long shot.
You had that one.
Just missed. I also had Rogue Millennium and Prosperous Voyage. If they had a superfecta, I would have had the superfecta too, but we had the try there, the exacta. 10-9 exacta, paid $167.90. We'll take that. The try, $722.70. Not bad at all. And then the horse that you were just speaking about, Mustafik, both of us top pick, paid $26.40. In race number 5, I think you had Jimi Hendrix as your second pick there. We didn't have Sonny Liston, unfortunately, but Jimi Hendrix, your second pick, paid $48.60. But folks, that's nothing. Just wait.
Well, but remember, we also, you get these big price horses. You play them each way. I mean, they pay well in that second spot. I mean, this Hendrix paid $12 for the placing. It's nothing to sneeze at.
Heck no. I mean, if you got a $12 winner over here, you're pretty happy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Never mind a $50 winner. In race number 6, Gregory and St. George came in for the exacta, and not the best exacta in the world, but I'll take one for $14.60. And then finally, Thomas, he just came out with the big bat. He had the Louisville Slugger waiting for that last race, baby. And then they pitched him the ball. It was one of those 16-inch softball types that they have here in Chicago. You don't get to wear gloves, but Tom didn't need a glove because he put that ball out of the park. With Big Evs coming home at paid $56.20. Too bad we didn't have Johan Brahms behind it or Inquisity, but hey, I'll take a $56 winner and nothing else behind it. We paid $11.60 to place.
Yeah, that was the horse that had run really well but didn't win in its first race. So I think people, it didn't win, that kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, but look at the race. Especially with 2-year-olds.
Yeah, you never can tell. So looking at today's racing relative to yesterday's, they did split off on the sides, but at also at times they were running down the middle. So it looked to me like they were unsure where to go. I did seem to notice, like when you're watching the screen, if you want a speed horse, you want the horses that are away from you because that side looks like it gets off to a faster start. But if you want a closer, the side that's closer to you seems to close in all the time. It kind of reminds me of like drafting in a NASCAR race.
Yeah, well, except for the first 2-year-old race with Crimson Autumn. She went right to the lead. And it was just a matter of could they catch her? Well,
but was she on the lead on the right?
It was a nose. Yeah, she was on the lead.
On the right-hand side of the track or the left-hand side?
On the stand side.
And which is that?
Right side.
The right side, yes. It seemed to me that if you want a speed horse, you want it on the stand side, off to the right on your screen, because it looked to me like all the horses that had speed that stayed were on the right, and then that wave of horses on the left would close in at the end.
Except for Jimi Hendrix, and he was on the far side.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The far side.
He blew away the field. I mean,
well, the side that Jimi Hendrix was on was the side that I mean, where the speed looked like it held better.
Right, and they're supposed to be firmer there, according to the going stick. But I mean, that was just the race there, he won by 7 lengths over the rest of those horses. I mean, Sonny Liston was closing, but he was coming from the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other side is where I feel like the closers do better. So if you're looking for closers, the horses that are closer to you on the screen and speed would be the horses that are on the other side. At least that's the way it looked to me. And then, of course, you had a couple of ones that kind of wandered in the middle of the track, but it's tough to say. That's the way I saw it today. Hopefully we see it right for tomorrow, Mr. Thomas. That's
our goal.
Plan. Are you ready to get cracking on tomorrow?
Absolutely.
All right. So the first race coming up in race number 1 is going to be the Norfolk Stakes. Let's see. We got Jose Saludos de Venezuela. Hopefully you've been staying along with us, Jose, because my man Tom over there, he's en fuego. That's why he's got on the fire shirt over there.
Absolutely.
So the Norfolk Stakes, they're going to run 5 furlongs, one of those sprints. Again, let's take a look at the screen here. The 5 furlongs. If you're looking for the sprinters on the 5 furlongs, again, I thought I saw speed hold better up on the what I'll call the inside of the track, and on the outside of the track over here, it looked to me like closers did a little bit better. So if you're looking for speed, you want the posts over here. If you're looking for some closers, you want the posts over here. At least that's the way it looked to me on Wednesday. But I think I would probably listen to Tom and not to me based upon the way he ended the day on Wednesday. So start Thursday with some prices, Tom.
I will. I'm going to start with number 8, Mana Shivi, I think. I don't know. Draw 9. When it's only started at York, and it ran it on the front end. The quote said it's a minor event, but then I went and looked at the horses that ran the race. They, except for the one horse that finished last, all the other horses in this race either have won or placed in their next race. That tells me it's a pretty good race. The dam side suggests 7 furlongs to a mile, and the sire does too, because he was a top miler in his day, and he won the 2,000 guineas. Next choice is going to be Devious, draw 7. One is only started at Naz by 2 lengths. It was on the good to yielding, going 5 furlongs. He ran close to the pace, and then he dropped over to the far side of the running and was pushed to finish. So it was interesting. There was a comment on there that said, this horse will do better on better ground. Well, he's going to get better ground tomorrow. Dam side she's dropped 6 foals. They've all won going distance, except for the one that was bought by a Japanese group, and that one won at 6 furlongs. On the sire side, it's a winner in Australia in Group 1s, going sprinting from 6 furlongs, going to that mile distance. They brought it over to the UK, where it ran in sprint races only, and one also runs some Group 1s there. Finally, I'm going to take number 4, Elite Status, with draw 4. 2 for 2, one at Doncaster, one at Sandown, one on the soft, and also one on the good going. Both races had room to spare, one by 3 lengths and then 5 lengths. I think this is the favorite. And in the family, on both sides, this is 100% sprinters. And he's been doing that. So, and they develop early, and he looks like he's one of those ones that's doing that.
He's ready to go. The funny thing is the PPs I was looking at, they didn't have any data for him. So I thought he was making his maiden debut up there. In any case, I'm going to start off with number 10 in here. No Way Mets. George Weaver won the first one today. He's going to win the first one tomorrow. Is George Weaver the new Wesley Ward? I forgot his name for a minute there. This horse, if you look at it, though, all kidding aside, made easy work of a non-graded stakes race down at Gulfstream Park. That was his debut. Now, here, we don't debut many in non-graded stakes races. They'll start usually in a high-priced maiden special weight instead of a high-priced non-graded stakes race. And then, to boot, went over to Saratoga, got on the Saratoga turf, and since then put in a bullet workout. I think this one's going to get out of the gates in a hurry and might be the one that they all have to catch.
And it's interesting who they're using for the rider.
Yeah, because you mentioned that, and that's another thing that I noticed, because you mentioned that Torre is doing well. And I know, and it's his farewell show, and he got the W today, and that's the monkey off the back. So he might feel a little bit more free going forward.
Well, he'll definitely have his hands full with that horse.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come out of the gate and go bat out of hell, to be honest with you.
I would be very surprised if it doesn't.
Elite Status. I thought it didn't make any runs yet because in the PPs I was looking at, Tom, they were blank.
You
So
blew that one.
I was going to say, yeah, they blew that one for sure. So I'm saying if they're going to start with a first-time starter that doesn't have any races, and he's a 7-5 in the morning line maker, I'm just going to trust the morning line maker. Well, I'll still trust the morning line maker. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
got 8 tips too.
Definitely going to be the favorite without question.
I'm going to go with another American horse in here. This time, maybe Wesley Ward does show up with American Rascal. American Rascal won his debut. It was a 50-cent or 1-2 favorite at Keeneland. A bunch of really nice workouts since. I don't know, though, that it's going to be able to handle the other American horse in here. And then finally, you got to start off with a bomb because this whole show is about bombs away, Thomas. And I'm going to go with the second longest price. Well, one of the longest prices on the board in Toca Madera. This horse won his last one. And in doing so, did it in one of the highest class rated races. It's worked for me in the handicapping so far the first couple of days, identifying a couple of shots. So what the hell? Let's go with a 66-1 in the 10, 4, 1, and 15. And I'll be curious to see if the predictor has any love for Toca Madera or not. Probably not, I'm going to guess. What's your guess?
Probably not.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. Wait a minute. His Majesty gets the, I mean, I guess in the Royal Ascot, His Majesty should get some consideration, but neither one of us put him in our picks.
Yeah, well, it's Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore.
Well, hopefully he doesn't.
You got to think that's one you do have to look at.
Well, indeed. And there's how many horses are in this race, Tom? Like 20 something?
16.
Only 16. Well, you know, you can't have them all with 16. Sean gets mad if I take 4 in a 6-horse race. So I guess in a 16 race horse.
That, but I agree with that, but not in a 16-horse field or beyond.
Yeah.
30-horse field, yes, definitely should take 4 because they pay down to 4.
Yeah, I mean, I figure as long as there's 8 or more, 4 is a good picking number to pick. And then, of course, you put I rank them in the order. You know, some people rank them in the order of how they think they'll finish. I rank them in. Is that how you do your handicapping, or do you rank them in the order of the chance you think they have to win?
I win. I go by win.
Yeah, me too. All right. Next up is race number 2. This is the King George V. The 5th, I know. Handicap. They're going to run 1.5 miles, 1.5 mile and 4 furlongs. That means on the track, they're almost going to make a full turn around the track here, go downhill, level out, steadily rise. And you see some of those berms as you watch the race live on TV. They're kind of hard to watch because of the angle. In my opinion, Tom, maybe we're just used to our angles over here. And the horses' silks are all the same. So you have to really rely on the announcer to kind of know where your horse is at.
Exactly.
And
also with the way Ascot does their races, you watch other foreign racing. You know, you got a car right there with the cameras on it, so you're right in the face of the horses, so to speak, and that brings a different view of the race than an overall view. I mean, in Hong Kong, it's generally, you know, you get the same as we do here, except going the other way. So it depends on the track, really.
Yeah, I just find it kind of hard.
You know, our tracks are pretty much basically the same with
cookie cutter
of Kentucky Downs.
Well, I think for me, the hard part is that face-on view. It's kind of hard to get that. I mean, the top-down view, I think you get a little bit of sense of where you can watch your horses, I think, a little bit better in that scenario. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to try to watch it and then and see what's going on, like if I'm watching a race at home. Right. So I was looking at the helmets, and there's like 5 guys with a red helmet on. I'm like, forget it. I can't go the red helmet route. All right. Anyway, so we see they're going to make that trip around the track there. You'll be watching on TV. Thomas, when the race is over or while people are watching on TV, who are they going to be rooting for?
My horse, my top selection has been scratched. I'm just checking.
Gallerist was your top scratch?
Yeah, and she's scratched. He's scratched. Okay. So they're coming over from France. So I only get 2 in here now. Number 6,
Picks of Integrity.
Perfuse. Number Perfuse is my first choice. Draw 10. There's 2 races. They're both at 1 at 10 and 1 at 11 furlongs. On the good to fast going, and then I ran 1 on the heavy going and won both of them. These are at, of course, lesser levels. It was Class 5 level, so yeah, there's a huge step up in here. Went off the favorite in both those races. I just think this one's a very interesting one, and going to give it a shot. My other choice is going to be number 16, Inquiring Minds, with draw 3. Won its first out at Newcastle on the all-weather by 5 lengths, going 10 furlongs, and then ran in the Lingfield Derby, which is used as a prep for the Epsom Derby, and there are a couple horses that went into that from that race. Didn't do anything. Returned to the novice level at Doncaster at going 12 in a Class 5 and ran second to my second choice. Now my first choice. And that was on the good to firm going. I think there's a lot of upside on this horse, and I like the odds. So I'm going to put it in there.
28-1. Yes, I'm down to 3 picks. So I'm using your strategy here because I also had the horse that scratched in there, Gallerist, unfortunately. So we'll try something else today. We'll see if we can get it done. And interestingly, I think we agreed on one horse to win all day in the first 2 races, first 2 days. And the only one that we both agreed on that would win, won. Yeah. So guess what we're about to do here? We're either going to extend that, Tom, to a second day in a row, or we're going to jinx ourselves here because I have Perfuse as my top pick too. Did win the last 2, including his last race, which was 1.5 miles. So you know the distance is not a problem. And then the next up, I have the one horse here, Bertinelli. Now, when you were a kid, Valerie Bertinelli, Tom, it was definitely one that we all wanted to see. So we want to see this one with Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien do well as well. And this horse, if you look at its record, really isn't all that far off of being undefeated in 4 starts. I think if it had won all 4 starts, probably would be a heavy favorite in here. And then finally, number 19 for me is the final choice. Double March, got to have that price in there at 33-1. Won his last race out, and that was his best race, and that race was at Ascot. And to me, that race, I don't know necessarily that they intended to win that race. It kind of smelled like a practice round to me with an eye on this race because this race is the 3rd start after a layoff. And the only other time this horse made it 3 races in a row without heading to the barn, it won that 3rd race off a layoff. So I think I'm sniffing out trainer intent on that last race, Tom.
Possibly.
Let's look at the – go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said possibly.
You're dismissing Holly Doyle? Which one? Long Legend like it. Land Legend. I like Land Legend, Jared says. What's 17-2? 17-2 is basically 9-1, between 9-1 and 8-1. You take the 17, you divide it by 2, and then you get your odds. And then, and they do it actually different there. They actually, when you're watching it, they do it to the exact payout. So you'll have a horse that's like 165-1. So it means if you bet $1, you're going to get $1.65 back, which I like that part of the way they do the racing. In fact, I even saw him today discussing a trifecta and how much a trifecta would pay if you had the 3 horses. How they know that, because we have no idea over here. It's just straight guesswork. And whatever technology they're using over there, we should be using over here too.
Yeah, it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be using it either. I'm sure there's a lot more money invested in our horse racing infrastructure than they have in theirs. Predictor says, tight race is what it says. Boom, but Land Legend, there you go, Jared. Jared is working on absolutely. He's pimping off of the predictor with Land Legend. Perfuse, Inquiring Minds right there, Bertinelli, Struth, and Double March. A lot of the names that we mentioned right there. Yeah, Jared says he loves a lot of priced horses at Ascot. We get crap here. We don't really get crap here. Right now, I know that if you watch the show this morning with myself and Charles has got a chance to win a pick 4 if the 7 or 10 takes home the championship in race number 8 at Horseshoe Indianapolis. I just went straight algorithm. I had some good ones in there, a couple nice long shots that came in second or just missed. Just a little tweaking on that. I might get it. Tomorrow I'll go back to regular handicapping where I do a little bit of data, a little bit of human elements, so qualitative and quantitative analysis, and a little bit
and a crystal ball.
That's where you come in. You're my crystal ball, Tom. There's no other way to get that Evs horse if you don't have a crystal ball, Tom. That was a great call today. Race number 3. This one is the Ribblesdale Stakes, Group 2. They're going to go 1.5 miles again. So just like we saw last time, they'll start a little bit past the start-finish line there. And they're going to come around, go back through, make that finish.
Yep, over the river and through the woods.
And I do notice, again, that in these races, typically, although the one horse that the Tory was on did stay on the front all the way around the track, but for the most part, the horses that do win come off the pace.
Well, look at Villanova. I forget the name.
Mm-hmm.
She was dead last. She was beat one horse, had one horse beat at the top of the stretch.
Jared says he's been using Equine Edge. It's been on fire. I'm not sure. I have never even seen Equine Edge before, but. And then in the third race, Thomas, who do you got in the Ribblesdale Stakes?
I am going with number 10, Luminary Rock, as my top choice with draw 8. Good effort last out, and Naz ran second in Group 3. Was on a good to yielding running at 10 furlongs. Its race before was on the heavy going and really didn't like it. So final race of the year, it won in a Group 3 at the Curragh. It was an 8 furlong event. To me, there's a big favorite in here. I think this may be my best bet of the day. Because I'm going to take the big favorite as my second choice. That's the number 1, Al Asfi, who's got draw 13. The horse has just been winning. Won 2 races. Won one by 4 3/4 lengths. Won the other by 6.5 lengths. They were both at 10 furlongs. Last one was a listed race. It's done nothing wrong, and it's going to be a huge favorite. 4 to 5. I keep, something like that.
Yeah, it's under 4 to 5 right now. It looks like. I would imagine maybe 1 to 2 or something like that. It's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah. That's just going to be a huge favorite, but I'm going to try to beat it.
Yeah, I think you should.
Finally, I'm going to take number 18, Village Voice. My final choice has draw 14. Its last race at Navan by 3/4 of a length. It was another 10 furlong race going on the heavy going. Won the first start by half a length. It's just been running well in all 4 races. And the trainer won a handicap today. So wouldn't be a huge surprise to see her get another one.
On fire. So he likes the favorite in here. The top pick, and he also likes the Blue Stocking is another horse that he likes. Blue Stocking being number 2. So he likes 1 and 2, Blue Stocking and LS Fa for Mr. Jared. For myself, I'm going to start off with the 4 horse in here. Crown Princess, 28 to 1, Thomas. What do you think of that one?
Interesting.
So if you look at this horse, last time out, finished 3rd in a Grade 1 in France by 3/4 of a length. I think that was the St. Mark's Basilica, which is a pretty good race named after that great horse. And if you look at the horses that it finished behind, only 3 horses have beaten this horse to the finish line so far in its career. And in 14 races, those 3 horses only finished out of the money 4 times. And they've won 10 out of 14 starts. I would suggest
they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
So you're going to get a good price on a horse that's just missed in a Group 1 last time out, 28 to 1. I think a lot of people might overlook this one because of the time on the bench. El Asafa, the one horse, it's the big favorite. Like you, Tom, I'm going to roll the dice and try to beat that one. Two dominating wins in 2 races. This one's going to be coming late. The concerns for me, the chance for someone else to beat it is the added distance and the traffic. Blue Stocking. Hey, there you go, Jared. In my picks, my friend. Just missed at the 6 to 5 odds last time out. That race was a 1/4 mile shorter than today's race. I think catching an extra runway here today will be to its benefit. And then I also like you, Tom, something else we agree on. Number 18, Village Voice. So maybe this is the long shot to put in your tickets. It sure looks like the odds have come down a little bit. Someone's had the courage to put in a tip on it besides you and I. Has 2 wins in 3 races. They debut and the lone start after the rest. That means he's 2 for 2 with some time on the bench. Of course, today, this horse is coming off the bench too. And that's one thing that it's sort of like a stock market thing, like technical analysis for me, because I come from that world, Tom. is that I'm always looking for patterns when horses run their best. It's just, I don't know, innate in me, I guess.
Or you see a horse look like they're improving. I've watched that. You get, and that's in a 3-race cycle. I'll watch. Well, it's close to the lead, and then in the first race, a little close, then it drops off, and then it gets a little closer to the lead in the next race, but then it drops off. And if depending on where they're placing that horse, sometimes you get a nice price on one of those.
I call that stepping up the ladder, where you see it's kind of this race and then that race, so it's extending closer and closer to being the finish at the end. But I see a lot of horses that, for whatever reason, you can look in the program, and you'll notice this too if you start looking for it. In like the first race off the bench, they fare well, and then they bomb afterwards. But you even see sometimes with horses, like the first start, horrible. Second start, horrible. Third start, bam, it shows up there. And sometimes it's the fifth start. And then and you'll see it repeat over and over and over again. And I don't know why that is, but it does look like that. So that's good minds think alike. Yes, I haven't shared my picks with you. I wouldn't do that, Jared. All right. And the predictor is going to tell us who it likes. And I haven't shared my picks with it either. Bam. Ferrari Queen. Well, Thomas, we might be in the cold in this one. Luminary Rock, we don't got that one. Midnight Mile.
I have that one as my top choice.
The Luminary Rock or Ferrari Queen?
Luminary Rock is my top choice.
Midnight Mile, we don't have that one either, if I don't remember. Perfect Proper, Gara, LeMay. I think we could. This one looks like they're expecting huge prices. Are there horses coming in from out of country or something? I think there are.
Well, from the sky, maybe. The cloud runners.
Well, even the big favorite didn't get mentioned in there, so I got to imagine they just didn't have data on that one. Now they're going to do that real long one again, that 2.5 mile race. That was a fun one to watch today.
A few more dollars.
It's 2.5 miles. They're going to start back here, going to make their way across, come back down, come back around. So they're going to really take almost a full tour of the entire track. They can just go back a little bit farther, and they would get the full view all the way around. And you might be dizzy from the car chasing them around from beginning to end. All right, Tom, in this long race, who do you think is going to be there at the end?
Oh, I'm hoping that Godolphin gets off the stick, and I'm going to take Yibir, number 10. Withdraw 6 is my top choice. There's no question that he's a dead closer.
Indeed.
He ran 4th last time out and set 12 furlongs, and it was a good race. I mean, and I think are they aggressively placing him? Possibly.
I think so.
He loafs around and then he decides to run. Well, maybe a longer race. Maybe he is a stayer. So I'm going to take a chance on him at a little bit of a price.
I got to be honest. I almost had him in my picks. It was a 50-50 call on that last one for me. And I felt like some of those speed numbers over here for stakes horses were a little bit on the lower side, except he did hit that 115, which is kind of eye-popping. So that tells me that horse has a big range. And if it's on the upper end of his range, Tommy, I think he could run away with this race. If he's on the lower end of his range, it could be a tough day.
Yeah, it could be a long day. I'm going to take a chance on him because I really think that he could be a very useful stayer going forward. I mean, he didn't race much last year. And the year before, he won the Breeders' Cup. Number 2, Broome, is going to be my next choice. Withdraw 14. He's raced 3 times this season. He has a win and a third. The other one race in Qatar was tried 16 furlongs for the first time in Dubai. And to me, in that race, he showed he may be a stayer because he went against the world-class group of horses, and he beat them. And he's won at Royal Ascot before, and so he knows his ways around. And I heard a little talk about him going to the Melbourne Cup, which was 2 miles. So that would be an interesting move for them to take him to the Melbourne Cup. Number 11, Courage Mon Homme is going to be my final choice. Around me, I think that is actually. Draw number 9. I think this is a really interesting Gosden horse. Only got 3 runs, won them all. They've been at okay distance, but not, of course, this distance. He's had lengths to spare in all those races. He's never run at this high of a level, but Gosden, Dettori generally know what they're doing. And, you know, they used to have one called Stradivarius, and he was pretty good stayer.
Yeah, he was good. I'm going to go with number 3. Well, before we do that, our man Jared says he loves Trushan. Echoes in the Rain is a
Trushan will not.
Used to. What's that?
Trushan will not be running.
He's not going to run?
No, he only runs on soft going.
Well, I had him in my.
He does not run. He does not run on good to firm. He will not. He'll be scratched.
Well, let's hope it rains then. But anyway, it was my last pick anyway. But Coltrane is my first pick at 7-2. This one is run at Ascot and done well there. He's just a head away from winning the last 3 at Ascot. So a horse for the course. Another one, Echoes in the Rain. I guess that Jared is in my book over here. 12-1 is my second choice over here. This one's been off since September. Wells runs very well off the bench like it will today, and ran in some of the top rated races for any of the horses in here, which is kind of hard because they're all pretty good horses. And the next one for me is El Daroff. So I'm a little bit chalky in this one, not the biggest shots in here. Concerns me a little bit. Did get smoked by Coltrane and Trushan when they met, but does actually have, and that was at Ascot, but the race before that actually won at Ascot. And if Trushan does get in, decides to run tomorrow, the last hurrah, before it heads off,
he will not be running.
He'll run. All right. Well, he's going to scratch.
Yeah, he's going to scratch. There's no way. They've not run him ever. And when they have run him on it, he's just did absolutely nothing. I mean,
didn't like it. All right.
No, did not like it. I mean, the wild card one here is subjectivist. I mean, he won 2 years ago this race, and but then he got hurt, and haven't seen him. And he popped back up again in 2 races, and he finished third to Broome, so in Dubai. So we'll see.
Got a couple of tips in there. I did mention before we started that it was a tough call for the 4th or 5th for me. So in the event Trushan does not run, Yabur would have been my pick in that spot. So there you go. Let's see. Patrick Mullen says that this one is live and will run the best. Which one is live? Echo in the Rain, that one? Wild card is Emily Dickinson, according to Jared Bush. According to the predictor, the winner is an easy winner right there. Coltrane, followed by Eldaroff, Emily Dickinson right there. Big call. Trushan if it runs. If not, Broome. No sight of Yabur, but it would be my horse if indeed Trushan is on the bench. But Tom is usually spot on with his insights with those sort of things. So I would take that to the bank. And if you can go bet somewhere that he won't run, maybe you might want to go do that.
And but also take a look at his past performances. Find out where he's run good or good to firm.
He just doesn't do it, huh?
There's nothing in there. It's good to soft, slow. He won it on the all weather at Newcastle, and he carried a ton of weight and beat a horse that had Spirit Mixer, he gave him 20 pounds, I think. So it's a gutsy horse, but yeah, if you'll see that in Goodwood it ran on the good going. It finished third to Cryptos is not running in here, of course. It's beat Coltrane in the past, but again, it's good to soft, good to soft. So it does. It wants some moisture.
Well, maybe the water the track so it'll show up. The next race up for is the race 5, the Britannia Handicap. What's this? 30 horses, Tom? Yeah, easy work for us on that one, right? The handicap. Coltrane and Eccles run use in Exacta. And then, so this one they're going to run 1 mile. Over here, I just finally figured this out after 3 years. The STR stands for straight. It just took a little while for the light to go on. So they're going to start back here at the back end of that track. They're going to run that straightaway down there. They'll probably go like this, split off. Again, if the horses that run towards what I'm going to say is the far side seems to favor speed. The horses that run to the near side seems to favor closers. So if you like the speed, pick horses that are going to start over on that side. If you like the closers, pick the horses that are going to start over on this side, Tom.
Well, and if you remember, we had a mile race today where they ran in 3 groups, essentially. And then ones that were on the grandstand side came more to the middle.
There was a race today too where they all ran in the middle. I think it was one of the sprints, and they're all just like.
No, it was the one with the Phillies and mares running. Prosperous Voyage finished third. Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah, just remember watching them like, okay, they're going to split. They're down the middle. They have no idea where they want to go.
They all stayed in the same place.
Well, where do you want to go in race number 5?
Oh, I want to go with number 21, Good Karma. Let's draw 5. The first start of its career, I would say, was crap. And then it won 2 in a row and looked really good in both races. Now, obviously, it's moving up in class. It's going to go a little longer than it's been. But it's going to need some racing luck, I think. But it'll be really interesting to see if this horse can do this. And if it does do it, it'll be outrunning its breeding. Number 6, Race Breaks Rider is going to be my next choice with draw number 22. It's won 4 in a row at this distance, and then it also won a 7 furlong race. It's been racing in these this types of handicaps racing, and but it's been moving up each time. Won at Ascot in May by 3.5 lengths, and it was a big favorite that day. I think it's probably one of the choices. And finally, number 9, Docklands is going to be my final choice. Draw 18. He's won the last 2 races. He ran second in his first start of the year. His last race was in class 4. It was at Ascot, and it was pretty easy. It was 6.5 lengths. He's won on the all weather. He's won on the soft to good, the soft. I mean, he's won on every type of running. So, but interestingly enough, he's never run on a good to firm. So this is definitely going to be interesting. And in some of his races in his first career, he faced group winners, went on to be group winners. So he's in his early being a maiden and novice race, he faced some horses that came out of those and ended up winning some top big races.
Those key races are definitely ones to watch. So I like in this one, number 2, One Nation is my first pick. He's going to be way out there post 32. I hope he's fast because he's going to be all the way on the other side.
Well, they might put 30 in the gate, so keep that in mind.
He might get scratched then. Another one for me.
Yes.
Better not. One Nation, if he does get in, he's been in the money 8 out of 9 on in his lifetime. And I think we're really going to benefit him. The horse wants to be forwardly placed. There's no question about that. Last race, forwardly placed. I think he gave up the lead at the very end. That race was 1.25 miles. So cutting back to 1 mile, I think is really going to help out. That's one of Charles's favorite handicap was right there. And I think if you look at this horse, I think you're going to look to see that throughout its career, that 7 furlong to 1 mile, maybe 1.125 miles. I think that is the strike zone for One Nation. Racing Breaks Rider, the one you like. So we got some more agreement on that one, folks. When Tom and I agree, it's like the Ghostbusters crossing streams. We're going to kill the Marshmallow Man.
You better run for cover.
One of the others. But as you mentioned, did win last 4. Unbeaten in 3 races in 2023, including a crushing win, but a small field against Ascot last out. Docklands, again, we agree, Tom. So this race, this might be very form. If we all agree, then everybody in the world's going to agree. Never ran a bad race in 4. And as you mentioned last time out, again, looks to me like prepping for this race, not necessarily intending on winning that last one, but did it absolutely demolish the field. So maybe an emerging horse for the course. Finally, the 4th pick for me, Starnberg, 22-1 shot over here. This one looks like a completely different horse in 2023, but I don't feel like the people are sold on it yet. And if you look at the trend, the horse is getting better and better and better. And last time out, just made easy work of a field. So maybe, hasn't sold people yet, but a win here would definitely sell him. And a win here at 22-1, based upon his 2023 form, I think would be not that far out of the calling. Tom, from your experience, I mean, you see that you've owned horses, you've trained horses. What do you think from? I don't think you've trained them. You've owned them.
I've never trained.
You've owned them.
Yes.
In owning a horse, have you seen horses that do that? Just like 1 year they're like, yeah, and the next year they just turn it on.
Yeah.
And you can't figure out why.
Well, I've never had one, but I see that very much so with fillies and mares. All of a sudden, it's like the light goes on, and they figure out how to run. But they also peak, and then the next year, a lot of times they don't do a damn thing.
Yeah, well,
they're ready to have babies.
Yeah. Well, that one's in this year. It's running now. It looks like it's peaking. I hope it didn't peak in the last race, but if it did and finishes third, I'll be all right with the trifecta with that one in there. And Jared says, use panic alarms too. 25-1 Bomber feels right to Mr. Jared in terms of what he likes. Let's see if the predictor has any love for Jared's bomb horse. Again, looks like a competitive race, but on the bottom, just an hour. I don't remember either one of us mentioning that one. Racing Breaks Rider, we both like that one. Docklands, that one made our picks too. Starnberg made my picks. Surely Not, I don't remember that one. Seems like it's named after the movie Airplane. And then finally, Dark 30. We don't have any music themes yet today, Tom. We got to find a music horse because we know the music horse is going to win. Yeah. Or maybe it's going to be the Airplane theme.
One Nation is a musical. Also rip-offs, but that's a different issue.
Different story. You don't give that one 2 enthusiastic thumbs up? No. What would your rating be if you were a critic?
0.
0 out of a scale of what?
0.
Infinity? Yeah. All right, 2 races to go. The next one up is the Hampton Court Stakes. The Hampton Court Stakes in this group, they're going to go 1 mile and 2 furlongs. So the 1 mile and 2 furlongs, they'll start here, about halfway up the backside there, make their way around, come back down and through, find themselves to the winner's circle. Tom, this one, how many got in this one again? Another long one, right? Only 16. This is kid stuff.
Well, that's the maximum for they'll run on this type of race. So we are a full field. So
in this kid stuff field of 16, 16 seems so light now. It's like when you play baseball with one of those big ones, and then, a little golf ball, and then you move it up to one of those 16-inch softballs. You can't miss. So who can't you miss with here?
Well, I want to point out something in this race, in the race conditions, which is this is a 3-year-old race, but it's the Group 1 and Group 2 winners are not allowed to run in this race. If they won Group 1 or Group 2, they cannot run in this race. So with that, I'm going to take number 2, drum roll, with draw 5. 2 wins and a second in its racing career. Last race was at the Curragh. Ran 10 furlongs, went off as a big favorite and won. It's one on the heavy going. It's one on the good going. So I think it'll like Ascot and Moore, O'Brien. They won a few races.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like Ryan Moore was as involved today as he was yesterday.
He won 3 the first day. So, but,
And even the ones that he didn't win on the first day, his name was in the calls as the race were coming to a close.
Yeah, number 1, Brave Emperor is going to be the next choice with draw number 3. He's run well in the past 6 races. 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. He's won in France. He's won in Germany. He's run in England. He's a Group 3 winner. The only question I have with this horse is the distance. I'm not. He does like to run strong at the end, so maybe it is the correct place. And finally, I'm going to take number 4, Bolster, who has draw 8. He's 2 for 2. Last one was in a Class 5 at Windsor, and won it by 6.5 lengths. Both these races have been on the good going, but this is a big step up, and we've seen a bottom yet on the horse, so why not throw him in there?
I don't know that it's that big of a step up, because when you look at the class rating, because I have him in my picks as the 3rd one too, there were some of the highest class rated races in there. So I'm not so sold that it's taken as big a step up as it might look like on paper. As I mentioned,
you're going from Class 5 to Class 1. That's a pretty big step up.
Yeah, I was looking at it a little bit like the grade of the race, but in any case, looking at number 14 is going to be my top pick here, Torito, the 14 horse. This one appears to have a lot of versatility in his game. Looks like he can adapt to anywhere on the track and still find his way home. I think that's important in a race like this. 16 is next for me. Kara, yeah. What do you think about that one? Nafron does get 4 tips at 11
Sounds
to
good
1.
to me.
Yeah. This horse, the last couple of races, it's ran Group 1s in its last 2. You mentioned they couldn't win Group 1s, but he ran a 3rd and a 4th in a Group 1. So he's dropping a couple of notches in this race, and those were pretty competitive. Wasn't all that far off in the 3rd and 4th placings there. Number 4, Bolster, the one that you like in there, Thomas. I also like the Bolster in there. As I mentioned, the horse has 2 crushing wins, and if you look at the way the grade for those races, he might be stepping up on paper, but I would say that the fields that it faced might not be as uncompetitive in this group as you think. And then drum roll, the one that Jared likes, thinks 6 to 1 is fair odds. Dead heated as the 80-cent favorite in a Group 3 at the Curl last out. If you look at the pedigree numbers, Tom, they're pretty strong on this one. You like to do the pedigree. What did you see in the pedigree for drum roll?
It was my top choice. Yeah, it's it's an O'Brien runner, and Ballydoyle, they don't have bad horses.
So Joel chimes in. He likes the Torito in here. He says that one is money in the bank. I think that's what he's saying with the $2 bills there. So make a note of that. These great minds think alike. Right, Jared? Is that what you said? Apparently you and Tom have the great minds for that one because you both settled on drum roll. Let's see who the predictor settles on, Tom. And then we'll go on to the last race. Looks like another competitive race. Canberra Legend, a horse that neither one of us talked about. Drum roll right there. Dear My Friend, that horse I don't remember anybody talking about.
Nope.
Expoliant, didn't talk about that one either. Wait, Piero and Bolster. All right, Bolster we talked about. Looks like we better all cross our fingers for drum roll, Tom.
I think sounds like it, doesn't it?
It sure looks like it, at least anyhow. All right, the final race of the Wednesday. We're going to get us halfway through the Ascot. Well, on the backside of halfway through. The final race, race number 7 on the card tomorrow. And then we'll only have 14 to go, Tom. As I mentioned, the first 14 have gone pretty well. Hopefully the next 21 go just as well, starting tomorrow, finishing up with the Buckingham Palace Stakes, where they're going to run 7 furlongs. That 7 furlong race, that straightaway race, boom. They'll probably go like this again. Speed to the top, closers to the bottom. Tom, who's going to run to the winner's circle?
Number 14, Biggles. Draw 3. Last ran at Ascot. It was in a big field, Class 2 race, and ran a nice second. And his last 6 races has done very well. 2 wins, 2 seconds, and 2 thirds. This is a horse that exclusively runs at 7 furlongs, and they bump it up and down in class. So class 1, 2, 3, and 4 type handicap races. Big field. You need racing luck. And draw 3 is not one of my favorites, but we'll see what happens.
Especially since he's going to be on the closer side. Hopefully he's a closer for you.
Yeah.
For me too.
And number 4, Val Fortino is going to be my next choice with draw 19. He's had good, even runs this season is the best way to describe it. He's got a 1 second and 2 thirds. He has won at the mile. And he's done really well at this distance. 12 starts. He has 3 wins and 5 placings. He prefers a little moisture in the going, so that's a little bit of a concern for me, but the odds look right, and I'll give him a shot. Finally, I'm going to take number 18, Lear Special, as draw 7. He won its last 2 races at this distance, but they were at Kempton, and they were on the all-weather. But this horse has 4 wins from 8 starts, and he was gelded before the last race. And always, makes it fun. He comes back to the turf. So he's won on the turf before, but let's see what he can do after those 2 races, those at Kempton. The distance is not an issue. It's just a matter of whether he can get home in this group.
I would be running mad too if I were gelded in the previous race. There's no question about that. All right, let's see who I think is going to run mad, gelded or not.
During the race.
Yes, that would really be something else. I've heard that they do some things like that sometimes, to maybe not necessarily to that degree, but pretty close. Croupier is going to be my top choice. Won his last 2 races. and also won his last 2 starts after a layoff. So that's going to be a second starts after a layoff. So he's 2 for 2 in the second up races. Number 14, the one you like, Tom, right to that inside, Mr. Biggles, or just Biggles in your case, ran decently over the Ascot course on May 13th. And I think there's a good chance it can run another good one in the Classic. Third start after a layoff. Number 21, Northern Express. That's my third choice. Usually very close at the end, Thomas. This one just missed versus the top pick last out and has a good solid run at 7 furlongs at Ascot as well. And then finally, I'm going to try to go home with a bang. Look at that. I can't believe it. Somebody's in my notes. Spanish Star, the 27 horse, gets a tip. Who's doing that? Anyway, this one's talking about. I wish I were me, because I mean that guy probably makes money putting the tip in there. We don't get anything. So, yes. Well, we get her a few thumbs up, and maybe a couple more subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, we take what we can get.
Yeah, you do. You can't be, beggars can't be choosy. Spanish Star, I'm going to try to end with a bang. Like I said, even though someone tipped them, the last 3 races, we talked about other horse earlier on where you have a major reversal in form. Well, this one has had, I can't think of the word I want to say right now. Anyway, major reversal in form, a renaissance is what I was trying to say. 7 furlongs looks like the right distance. Tom, 8 times out, 2 wins, a second and 3/3. That's 6 out of 8 on a form reversal, 50-1. Let's see if that reversal can hold true tomorrow as well.
Oh, well, we've seen some big prices, so it would not be a huge surprise.
Especially to the guy who made the tip over there, whoever that may be. That's a wise person right there. And then the final time for the Thursday card at Royal Ascot, another competitive race. Boom, looks like a photo finish for Accidental Agent.
Yeah, he's a former Royal Ascot winner and a group winner, but he's not anywhere near that form in the past couple of years.
Croupier looks like the only horse that either one of us mentioned that's in the in any of those picks. So hopefully the predictor is broken once again. A little bit later on today, Tom, at 8 o'clock tonight Eastern. So following up right behind us, Jamie and Sean will get together with trainer Maria Bowersock, a young trainer that you may not have been introduced yet. So make sure you tune in for that. If you have any questions for Maria, please make sure you hit them up in the comment section. Let them know that Tom and Rich sent you from the Royal Ascot. I will be back tomorrow at approximately 1 o'clock, probably about 5-10 minutes to 1 o'clock Eastern with Charles as we try to do our best at Belmont. I will go back to my normal qualitative and quantitative handicapping style. There is no show tomorrow evening with Jamie and Sean, but Tom and I will be back for day 4 of Royal Ascot. Any preview on that one, Tom, yet, or you haven't looked at it?
I briefly looked at it, and this was the King Edward the Seventh. Looks like the most interesting race in my mind. It's a 3-year-old race, but it only has 6 runners.
Thankfully.
So, I mean, we have a 6-runner race and a 7-runner race. So what are we going to do with these? I mean,
combine them into one.
Yeah, I mean, geez. Then of course, then we have our 30 horse race and 28 and 19 and 7, 15 and 18.
Well, you do need a little bit of a reprieve in there. I'm kind of, I don't know about you, but after I go through 32 horses and I look at the next one and there are only 6 in it, I'm like, whew.
Yeah, well, the first race is a 2-year-old race for the Albany Stakes, going 6 furlongs. So those are always entertaining.
Well, everything we talked about today, just like what we talked about yesterday and the day before that, we'll post it over at horseracingtoday.net. Probably about an hour and a half from now, it'll be up there. So including the video, including our comments. So make sure you head on over there if you want to recap. On the video, a little bit later on, I will go back through, and just when we hang up here, I'll go back through and put the times for each race so you can come back and look in the description, and you can go to any specific race if you want, from race to race to race tomorrow. And then, of course, we'll be back. If you have any questions, comments, or you have any picks tomorrow, make sure you do that.
Please.
No problem, Steve. Hope you appreciate it. What's up, Razor? Hopefully you're paying attention to what we're doing at the Royal Ascot, because Tom and I are like Bix. We're lighting it up, baby.
Well, I certainly did today.
Indeed. All right. No matter what you're doing for the rest of this night, we certainly hope that you do get God's favor, God's grace, and that everything you do before we get together again tomorrow for Belmont, Tom, ends up in one place, and that can only be
the Royal Winter Circle.
Do they have a winter circle over there, Tom?
Yes,
or is it they do?
Winter. They call it winter enclosure.
So in the winter enclosure, enjoy your day in the winter enclosure. We'll see you tomorrow.